got a loaded show, not loaded nachos. We're talking about signing Za'Darius Smith in free agency because ESPN put out an article suggesting that the Saints could sign him. Then Dennis Allen, he went on the NFL Report, and he talked about drafting a quarterback. Saints Twitter took it and ran with it. So I'm going to give you my takes and share exactly what Dennis Allen said. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to join our family of 26,000 plus members of the Who Dat Nation. We give you daily Saints news and rumors all throughout the offseason and the regular season. So if you haven't already, it's 100% free. Subscribe today. I promise you won't regret it. All right, let's talk about the free agency target and the free agency rumors because ESPN, like I said, they listed the New Orleans Saints as the best fit for edge rusher Za'Darius Smith. In this article, basically, it was outlining the top 50 free agents and the best fit for every one of those teams. New Orleans was named once, and it was for this guy. And here's what Matt Bowen said about Za'Darius Smith, saying, given the Saints' cap issues, this would probably be a one-year deal for Smith to play in Dennis Allen's multiple defense. I like the fit here, though, given Smith's pass rush versatility. Allen could deploy him off the edge or inside as a stand-up defensive tackle / nose. He's a power rusher who has 60 sacks in his career, 5.5 with the Browns in 2023, and in New Orleans. And New Orleans finished tied for 28th in sacks last season with 34. Now, the numbers in terms of the sack production doesn't jump out at the screen. I'm going to give you that. But I want you to focus on one number down there, the pressures. 61 pressures for Za'Darius Smith. That means 61 different times he was in the backfield, creating havoc and causing problems for the opposing quarterbacks. Edge rushers can't help that quarterbacks are getting more athletic and more elusive and harder to stop behind the line of scrimmage because they're getting taught to throw the ball away much quicker. That's not on the edge rushers. That's not their fault. But the fact that he got back there 61 times is very impressive. Not to mention, it was on a defensive line that also included Myles Garrett. The Browns defense was really good last year, so wouldn't really look too much into the lack of sacks. The pressures are what really stands out. But in terms of the pros and cons, you would get an experienced and productive pass rusher, and I don't think he would necessarily break the bank. I don't think he's going to be like super cheap by any means. Like, he's not going to be a bargain free agency signing. But I do believe that Smith could be relatively affordable. Now, in terms of cons, it would be another aging veteran on an aging roster. It's the oldest roster in the NFL, so I'm not really looking to get older, but he's also not necessarily a game changer. He isn't going to change. He's not going to win you games, but I think he can still make an impact. He's not going to help the Saints turn a few of those losses into wins. I think what he more so might do is just be productive and helpful in terms of creating problems and forcing turnovers rather than sacks with all of the pressures that he can get. He's a good football player. I just don't think he is as effective as he once used to be. But in terms of the Saints defensive line, Matt Bowen was 100% correct. They need to get much, much better. The sack production was bad. Cameron Jordan is a shell of what he once used to be. I think he's still a good player, but he is a shell of a great player. Carl Granderson was really good. He led the team in sacks, but a lot of those came in the beginning part of the season, and then a lot of them came at the very end of the season. So in the middle part of it, it's kind of lull. Nathan Shepard, Colin Saunders, they're solid. Brian Brzee as a rookie, he was top 5 in sack production for New Orleans. Isaiah Foskey, a lot of question marks around him as to whether or not he can be a leader on this team. Tano Passanio, pretty solid as well. Peyton Turner could be a bust. Then you got a bunch of free agents as well. So I just want you guys to sound off for me. It seems like there could be a big-time need there, and I think that the edge rusher is a big need for New Orleans. Would you sign Za'Darius Smith? Just give me a simple sign or pass in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, take advantage of it, share your thoughts, and let me know. Now, there were some notable suggestions in this article, and I felt like, we have to do our due diligence in terms of being Saints fans. You want to keep your enemies or your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's the old saying, right? I messed it up, but that's the old saying. Kirk Cousins, they said that the Falcons were the best fit. Brian Burns said the best fit was to keep him in Carolina. Danielle Hunter, a lot of Saints fans want him. Best fit for him was the Rams. Antoine Winfield Jr., ESPN said that the best fit for him was staying around in Tampa Bay. This is interesting. Mike Evans, best fit was Carolina. Baker Mayfield sticking around. Trent Brown headed to Carolina. Devin White going from Tampa to Atlanta. Josh Uche also to Atlanta. And Lavonte David sticking around in Tampa Bay. Those are just some of the other teams and names mentioned that are either names that the Saints could possibly be interested / NFC South teams, because that's important to know. And guys, I want to dive into the Dennis Allen press conference. I'm going to talk about what he had to say, and more so the interview more than a press conference. But before we get into that, got to give a big-time shout-out to Prize Picks. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and plug in promo code CLNS, you'll get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy, and it's the #1 DFS app in North America. And we used Prize Picks a lot during the NFL season, but NFL and college football are over, so I'm going to be turning into a seamhead today. I got Adolis Garcia on more than 32.5 home runs throughout the entire season. Trey Turner, 27.5 stolen bases. I think he could get even close to 30 of those. Juan Soto, 35.5 home runs over the course of the season. The dude's basically playing at a Little League park. So, yeah, give me the more on that. If you want to fade my picks, if you want to tail my picks, I don't care what you do. Just do it with Prize Picks. They also have esports, golf, racing, cricket. They have literally everything. So go check them out, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Plug in promo code CLNS. All that information is in the comment section and description of this video. All right, let's talk about Dennis Allen on drafting a quarterback, because last night he joined the NFL Report and was asked about, hey, you just got Clint Kubiak. Did that maybe change some things going into the NFL draft in terms of how you're preparing and what you're looking for? So let's dive into the exact quotes and the exact words. James Palmer asking this. Said, I remember those Houston drafts with Gary Kubiak, of him kind of finding the guys that fit this scheme we're talking about through the draft. So I'm kind of curious. Now that you make this switch on offense to having Gary Kubiak rather than Pete Carmichael, what have the meetings been like? And does your draft philosophy maybe change a little bit in the style of player? Maybe you're looking at on the offensive line or some other spots with the way that Clint wants to run this thing. So, without further ado, here's Dennis Allen. He said a few years back defensively, I remember back in 2015, kind of 2016, we weren't sure exactly what we wanted to be defensively. We kind of went through the little process, and it was really in 2016 where I took over. That's when we clearly identified exactly what we wanted to do on the defensive side of the ball and exactly what we were looking for in each position. So therefore, we were able to go out and find those guys in the 2017 draft and on. And I think that we became a much better defense because we clearly identified what we were looking for. Now, I'm not a big-time supporter of Dennis Allen. I think that he's not necessarily the best head coach. But I can tell you this right now. I loved hearing him talk about defense. Like, throughout this interview, he talked about the different play styles, different packages that they tried out, and the different defensive schemes that they ran through when they were trying to figure out what their identity was when he took over as defensive coordinator. And just hearing him talk about that side of the ball was mesmerizing. He is a smart defensive guy. I don't think he's a great head coach, but you cannot knock the defensive mind and the defensive savviness that that guy has. I love hearing him talk about it, but let's get back to the interview. So he added, I think that that's the process we're going through right now, talking about finding the identity on the offensive side of the ball. We're in the process of having our February draft meetings with the scouts. Mentioned Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland, and those guys were all there as well. We had a chance to get the offensive coaching staff in here over the weekend and really sit down with the scouts and with the people in the draft room and go through, here we are, folks. Here's what you've been waiting for. They've been waiting to go through, this is what we're looking for in a quarterback. This is what we're looking for in an offensive tackle. This is what we're looking for in the wide receiver positions. I think that's been great for our group. I think we'll all have to continue to have those discussions as we go throughout this draft process. And really, not just the draft, but free agency also. So like I said, I put the tweet out about that. If you want to go check out the clip, it's on my social media pages at TraceGerard48. Twitter saw quarterback and they heard Dennis Allen say QB, and funny enough, it was the first position mentioned, and they went crazy. So I just gathered a few of the tweets, a lot of people that I've interacted with in the past. Excuse me, a lot of people that I find very entertaining on social media. Joe Horn's cell phone, it's pretty funny on Twitter. He quote tweeted my post with the eye emojis. Caden, he's been kind of on a tear with being a little bit of a troll right now. I kind of love it. He's saying DA said quarterbacks first. I guess we're getting Bo Nix. LOL. Obviously, it's kind of a joke. Caden, he's been really good on the Twitter game recently. Trey Rangers, 2023 World Series champions. I am a Rangers fan. Shout out to them for winning it all. The chat, are we back? And then also included a jersey swap of Jaden Daniels in a Saints uniform. It is sick. I retweeted it if you want to see it. And then I actually thought that this one was really, really good analysis by a fan. And I think that this actually really sums up what is going on with this quote. So maybe I'm misreading this, and I think that this team believes in and is committed to Derek Carr in the short term. But this sounds like someone who at least realizes the need to plan for the future at the position when we previously failed to do that. Now, you can't argue that Sean Payton never planned for the future. Multiple times, he could have drafted some really good quarterbacks that are doing really good things and winning Super Bowls and winning playoff games now. But you went and got Marcus Davenport. Or you went and got Peyton Turner. Or you went and got whatever. Like, Sean Payton didn't plan in the future. And he didn't invest in the future in terms of the quarterback. He had Drew Brees, fair enough. But Dennis Allen, I think that's the right thing. I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's admitting that we need to have a plan. We need to know what the plan is, not just this offseason, but in future offseasons. So that way we can be smart with the money. We can be smart with the signings and the draft picks and all of that. And I don't think that the Saints are drafting a quarterback this year. I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do it next year. I think that it will be a big need, though, in the next couple of seasons. Like, I know I just said that I don't think that they may draft one next year, but, like, I could totally see them going down the path of pass on a quarterback this year, draft one next year, depending on the QB class, day 2, day 3 pick or something. Derek Carr isn't as good. Maybe it's a higher priority. See what happens with Jake Haener. There's still so much to, figure out around that position as well. So my point being, they're not going to make a big major quarterback change now. But I think that one could come in the future. And I think that one will come in the future. So just kind of be on the lookout of that in the next couple of seasons and as we start, hearing stuff throughout the draft and free agency process. But I want you to be the GM for me. Let's get back on topic with the draft. What position should New Orleans draft in round 1? Should it be offensive lineman? Should it be edge rusher? Cornerback, safety, QB, best player available? I just want you guys to be the GM. Put on your Mickey Loomis hats, and y'all stay golden. We'll catch you next time.